I'm so out of breath. I should grab my oximeter and see what's happening. My oxygen last night went to 88 without CPAP, and the night before went to 88 with CPAP. So I'm just so out of breath. So bizarre not to be able to breathe. Yesterday, a neighbor drove me to. I had to for 3 days. I'm gonna do overnight oximetry testing, and we were gonna see if I qualified for overnight oxygen, nighttime oxygen. The criteria for oxygen, I think, in Canada is stricter than the United States. And when I found out what the criteria was, when the way I talk and I take those breaks, and it's probably annoying for people to listen to because I start and stop, start and stop. That's since being brain injured, since a medication injury, and my brain is affected and my breathing is affected, and often I'm running out of breath before I can get enough words out, or I'm trying to get enough words out before I run out of breath, or like I'm brain injured and it affects my speech, the rhythm of my speech. It annoys me, and I'm sure it's probably annoying to listen to. And it, anyways, so I'm going to do overnight oximetry for 3 nights. And I know, so I know once I found out how stringent the qualification for home oxygen is, I knew that no, I'm not going to qualify. But then I talked to the people there at the hospital, and we did this a few years ago, and I saw stuff on there that shouldn't, that wasn't good. Like one night, my oxygen dropped to 70. One night, see, normally they'll only give you one night, right? And I said, no, forget it then. Like I had just had it. I was at the end of my rope, and I thought, no, because one night out of 365 days a year, or one night out of thousands of days, is not necessarily a representation at all of your health, right? Because they could catch you on a good night. And I said, I want a week. And they said, well, no, we can't do the week. We'll give you 3 days. So I was really happy about that. And it was true, because one night things didn't show up. But on one of the nights, my oxygen dropped to 70, and one of the nights, my heart dropped to 28 beats per minute, which is bad. So, so it's really good to be collecting abnormal data like that to prove, it's like you're building a case to prove how sick you are, or to prove that things are actually going wrong when you're asleep, right? And so I'm so symptomatic. Tinnitus, and my head feels plugged, and I feel screwed up. Um, the past few nights have been really bad, and um, like 3 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep, 1 hour of sleep, just hell on earth. And I picked up the oximeter thing last night, and I had at least 6 hours of sleep, which it's like, damn, I don't want, and normally I never sleep this long. And it was, it was rough. It was really a rough night until about 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I had hours of sleep after that. And which, you don't want to do. It was an odd, good night, and you don't want the testing to happen on a night like that, right? And normally I never sleep that long. So it was really hard last night to fall asleep because my body just doesn't want to breathe, right? My oxygen went down to 88. It's weird because my oxygen can go into the 70s or 80s with or without CPAP. I'm so exhausted, I could just collapse. I am so exhausted. So a neighbor took me to pick up that oximeter, and usually I never get out. Usually I'm never driving around. Usually I don't get to stores, and she had to run an errand, and she said, "Do you mind if I run this errand?" And I said, "No." Then I can go to this store next door and look around at stuff, and like just one of the big drugstores or whatever, where they sell everything, electronics and home accessories, and Christmas stuff, and um pillows for your couch, and where they sell everything, right? And I cannot remember the last time I've been in just a regular normal store like that. It's been years. It's been a few years. And walking around, I'm just so thrilled to be out, and I'm so thrilled to be just in a store like a normal human being. And I'm walking around this store just observing the effect that it's having on me, and I feel like a kid at Christmas. I'm just so thrilled to be out and just looking at things and away from my house, and just it was so much fun. And then I started to cry. I thought, how pathetic is this? How And then I started to think, when is the next time I'm going to be out like this in a store for a few minutes, just feeling like a normal human being. And I started to cry, and I thought, oh God. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the house, and like it was like being let out of prison for a little while. And it made me so sad. And you can gradually be so trapped in a bad situation. It happens so gradually that the impact of it doesn't hit you. And then going out or something, experiencing something normal that is just so common to everybody, like just going into a store like that. It's just a normal everyday thing for people. I haven't been to a store like that, I think, in a couple of years. And you don't realize how small your world has gotten, right? And so we ended up being out for maybe an hour, and so I was on my feet for about an hour, and I couldn't believe the whole time I was in the store and walking around, and then I had to stand for a while, like on my feet for about an hour. I couldn't believe how sick and exhausted I am. Like, I think on a day-to-day basis, I you you become so used to being so ill that you minimize it. And being out, it made me it I don't think I realized how ill I really am, and I was ready to collapse from just I was so thrilled to be out, but physically I was ready to collapse. And I used to be able to be on my feet for, 12 hours or longer, physically working, doing things, keeping busy. I was ready to collapse. Like, I don't think I realize how really ill I am. You get gradually so used to being so sick and sedentary. But how do you convince, you know, uh, how do you convince the medical community? Like, what I've hated about this is all these years I have felt like I'm on trial. I'm in a court of law and I'm on trial and I'm not sick unless I prove that in a court of law. Or, it's wrong. It's like, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way too. Anyways, so I don't know, when you're out like that, you're out and about in the world for an hour, and it's like you come back to your prison, and I don't know, it's so hard. I can't believe how weak I am. Like, I'm too sick to